Hello and welcome to our review of Maul Shadow Lord. We're going to be covering 2 episodes in each reaction series, and be warned, it's going to contain spoilers. So if you haven't watched them yet, go and watch them. Come back here because we need to talk Maul.
Absolutely, folks. We have been blessed and given a great opportunity to have seen the first 8 episodes. So if it feels like we're tiptoeing around things, or we don't come out and we don't speculate a bunch of things, it's because we really can't. Now, when you get to episode 7 and 8, we're going to speculate our backsides off because we don't know what's coming. It's kind of a double-edged sword here with the screeners. I don't know about you, Jack, but I'm listening here like I love the fact that we have access to it, but I feel like now we have to wait 6 weeks or 8 weeks to get to the end of it. I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, like just sitting on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I don't,
So
I don't know if it's better or worse that you get them. There, it's a good point. So you bring up. We are extremely grateful and fortunate, but like you said, it's a double-edged lightsaber.
yeah.
We're also
So
going to
there
be
won't
sat here waiting.
so there won't be any like speculation on what's coming next, folks. We're just going to kind of break down the episodes, what we think, what we feel, how it made us feel when we saw them. I know I've watched all of them twice. I don't know about you, Jack, how many times you've seen them or not, but again, like we were given that, and we want to make sure that everyone realizes that's why we're not doing speculation or anything.
Yes, indeed. Right, to start then, we're going to go over some of the finer details for those that may have missed what's going on, who's made it, etc. We're going to start off with the maker, Dave Filoni, obviously the chief creator. He's made this series. We're being recorded today, it's been announced there is going to be a season 2. And we also have a bunch of writers. Who are the writers that we've got in this series, Jimmy?
Yeah, so Matt Minovets, I apologize for his last name, but he's the head writer. He was a story editor and staff writer of Disney Plus show The Bad Batch. He also wrote the Star Wars series Tales of the Underworld. Matt was a head writer for Star Wars The Clone Wars television series 6th and 7th season. He wrote episodes of Citadel, Counterattack, Citadel Rescue, Darkness of Umbara, The General, Plan of Descent, Carnage of Krell, and he wrote 4 episode arc about Cad Bane and Boba Fett, the one that we all wish we had seen but we didn't get to.
Yeah. Also giving Matt a hand as well. We've got Brad Rao. He's also a director. He's a supervising director. For those that don't know, he's also a television director. He's directed episodes of Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Star Wars Resistance, and of course Star Wars The Bad Batch. But we have an absolute powerhouse in music because, as we know in Star Wars, music is one of the key things we have. We have an absolute family powerhouse of musical talent. Who have we got in the music department?
We have the most nepotistic music department on the face of the planet, but thank goodness for it. So Kevin Kiner comes in, and Sean Kiner is part of this. Dina Kiner is part of this. They have all kinds of the Bad Batch. They have Rebels. They have the Clone Wars under their belt, and now they're all kind of getting their representation, having been under Kevin. I'm not sure if it's all his kids or
Yeah.
what it is, but yeah, I mean, they've just worked on so much stuff and just beautifully take Star Wars, John Williams music, and they are able to adapt it to situations, which we'll talk about a little bit as we're covering these episodes. And they do create their own stuff, and they mix it, I mean, just beautifully. And I'm excited. Um, I think this family needs to get through. They need to be given the opportunity to do the movies. So
Yes. Yes, 100%. I think this is the perfect platform for them. So, yeah, brother and sister, Sean and Deanna, kind of absolutely killing it on the music front, but we'll cover that in the episodes. Now, a little bit of background about Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord. So, it's set on the planet Janix. It's a few years after Order 66 has been initiated. Essentially, Maul plots to rebuild his criminal empire along with some help of friends, the remnants of the Shadow Collective, and also seek the assistance of some unlikely friends. Now, we have a whole host of cast and brand new characters. So let's get stuck into the cast and characters. Obviously, it's not going to be more without the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sam
mhm.
Witwer. He's there, obviously, providing his incredible voice talents. Next up, most probably people will recognize is Richard Adelaide, who's playing Two Bots. Again, a quirky like droid, quite eccentric, underworld contact, providing intelligence on Janix. Below that, then, we've got the incredible Vanessa Marshall. We know her connection to Star Wars as well. Again, She's voicing Rook Kast, a loyal Mandalorian warrior from the Shadow Collective who still continues to serve Maul. Look out for the Easter eggs on her armor. Who we got in the top middle there, Jimmy?
So we've got Gideon Adlin, who's going to be playing Devin Azara, our Twilight Jedi apprentice. And then moving down, we have the Master, the most. There's so many great voices in this. Like I was blowing my mind when I'm watching this. Uh, we have Dennis Haysbert, the Allstate guy. I mean, I don't know how else to. If you're here in the States, I don't know if you guys have Allstate insurance in the UK, but he's the Allstate guy. He's got this deep resonating voice. He's also, I think, it was in Major League movies with
Yeah.
he played a funny character in that. So he plays Master Iko Diodaki, which is a phenomenal Jedi Master name. We don't know what his species is. I was actually looking it up today. And of course, we have the one and only David Collins back voicing droids, and he actually voices some other characters down the road, but just little ones here and there. But he's going to be doing Spybots.
Yes. Next up, we've got Wagner Amore. He's going to be voicing Brenda Lawson. Brenda Lawson, this is quite a major figure. He's like a criminal detective and plays a key part in the whole of the series. Speaking of key parts as well, going to excuse my pronunciation for this. We've got Chris Diamantopoulos, who is voicing Luti Vario. Again,
That's
Luti
awesome.
Vario is a high-ranking member of the criminal underworld, plays a key part, and again, in all of this. And everyone's least favorite Inquisitor, Marek. Again, they are voiced by AJ Lacaseo, I think it's pronounced. Again, normal score. They're on the planet hunting for Jedi. And then we have two minor characters, let's say, but we've included them for reasons you'll see later on. We've got Icarus, voiced by the incredible Steve Blum, and we've got Riley Lawson, who is voiced by Charlie Bushnell. Again, you'll see why we've included them later in the show.
Yeah, this crew of actors lending their voice. I mean, Wagner Mora, Grammy nominated, the voice of Pablo Escobar from the Netflix series. What was that one called? It was Narcos.
Narcos, yeah.
Yes, I mean, it's just sits there. I'm like, man, he looks really familiar. What is it? And he's playing a completely opposite character. He's playing the good guy this time, so that's awesome.
Yes, yes, indeed. That's the cast and characters, or the main figures. Obviously, there is a lot more in the show which we'll see and hear from. But for now, Jimmy, I think we're ready.
Yeah, so let's dive into chapter 1, The Dark Revenge, written by Matt himself. And Jack, how'd you feel when you watched it?
Yeah, so first off, overall reaction. Obviously, we've got a lot of hype being built up into this with all the trailers. Obviously, it's a two episodes per week, so we know what we're sort of getting. And overall, this very first episode, I think, hit the nail on the head. It's dark, it's gritty, it's exciting. There's elements there as well of horror, but it's so good to see more back. That was my overall, impression at the end. Maul is back. What about you, buddy?
Yeah, that's exactly what I have. I mean, I put my notes say Maul picks right where he left off in Clone Wars season 7. The
Yeah,
last time we see him, he's tearing through that the Republican ship. Well, I guess at that point it's probably turned to the Empire, but just raising heck, destroying fools, and he does not disappoint. And it doesn't take long for him to get back into the action. So yeah, it's awesome to see him back in this episode, and I really, really, really liked having Rook back. I thought
yeah,
that was a really neat touch because I mean that's a character I never even paid attention to during the Clone Wars, but to have her back is pretty awesome. Vanessa Marshall's voicing, but yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought this
yeah.
was a great way just to set the tone and be ready to go.
Yeah, it definitely set the tone. The body count's high straight away, so people, you're not going to be disappointed with the action. We've got a bingo card on the go as well. Look out for that. Again, just seeing more back in action, but also meeting the new characters in the episode, and setting the tone that way for Janix. Because I think a lot of people, to begin with, thought it might be on Coruscant, and I think it's important that you see Janix at this stage of the game as well, and what happens. In later events. And again, like you said there, that the quality of that animation was just
Mhm.
superb. It was breathtaking. I'd like to say it's a mix between late Clone Wars and late Rebels, this you can tell there's a different type of animation
Yeah.
product or image that they've used. It's quite slick, with like a hint of visions, is what
Just
I want to
grittier,
say.
yeah. Because they not too long ago, if you haven't seen it, there's an 8-minute video of Dave Filoni talking about Maul, and
Mm,
it shows him in the Clone Wars, and then it shows him in Rebels, and
yeah,
then to see him in this, I mean, it's like it is so much more menacing. We know they had that trailer that was kind of like horror. It fits. It's just this grittiness is kind of like not super clean. Like it's everything's got a little bit of texture to it.
yeah,
I and then you add that to the cityscapes that they show of Janix. Like I think this episode
beautiful.
opens up one. Yeah, and I can't really give anything away for anything else, but you just gets a lot of shots of the city. It's almost like a character in itself.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally agree. The animation, it sort of reminds me as well, for a better way to put it, it's a bit like Spider-Man into the
Into
universe,
the
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it,
a good
it
point, yeah, it's kinda
really
gritty like
reminded me
that.
of that. So if you are a big animation fan, or even Spider into the Spider-Verse fan, this is definitely down your street. More fans. To be honest, there's nothing here so far in this first episode, and I'm not just saying it because we got the access for it. There's nothing here at the minute that didn't quite fit the bill, or make me want to turn off. Even though we know what happens to Maul in the end, even though we know what happens, years down the line, you're still getting pulled in. And
Oh,
again, that's
immediately.
that's credit to everyone that's involved in the team there making it. So yeah, first impressions really good. Like you said there, Jimmy, I think the tone of the episode is definitely the menace, the gritty, the horror, the action. Uh, Anything that stood out for you emotionally?
Yeah, it's just Maul's Maul. He's angry, he's always angry, and that builds,
Mm,
throughout this episode and everything, but if you look at Rook, you got Rook there, and she's a really great lieutenant, and then you have Brander Lawson. And I love it. We watch so many cop shows in my household. I don't know about you guys, if you watch crime shows, and we've watched tons of like British stuff, like Luther and what's that one with oh my gosh, we've watched so many just different crime shows, and just it feels like you're watching a crime show.
yeah,
It's set in Star Wars, and it makes me really want that. So yeah, that really kind of stood out. Like, and it's like it's much darker. I don't know. I mean, the opening scene is, I mean, it's the opening heist right off the bat, right?
yeah.
I mean, if hopefully you've watched the episodes already, but like, I mean, they're not messing around. Granted, they're messing up droids, but then it leads to other things, and yeah, dark. I mean, it's everything we've been promised.
Yeah, everything we've been promised and more. A couple of the things we want to talk about then is kind of like the themes and ideas around this episode. I think the first question we'll probably get asked, or we want to cover, is what is this episode about? Again, like with any episode for any franchise, really, it is about, like you said, Jimmy, perfectly setting the tone, setting the foundations for the series, and it does it. It does it perfectly. Um, I think the question from that is, though, why? What does it do perfectly to set those foundations, in your opinion?
Well, it's they do a great job of little bits of n- explanation to kind of like if you don't know something, like we know these things, and if you're listening to this podcast you probably know those things too, but they do like these little recaps in these conversations.
Mm,
But I feel like they set the tone with Maul is pissed, and we
yeah,
know why. We find out why pretty quickly, at the Shadow Collective.
yeah,
And then Brander Lawson, he is a single dad, and he's doing things by the book. He's not afraid to like cross the line, and he's got two boots there.
yeah,
And there's this criminal underworld. I just like revenge almost. Kind of just it sets the tone, but I think you kind of expect that with Maul because everything we've gotten with Maul, as soon as he came back in Clone Wars, it's been about revenge all the way through. And we don't and his revenge changes, but these first episodes, he's real mad at the Shadow Collective.
oh yeah,
So
yeah, massively. And again, just build on that a little bit more. It does set those foundations for all these characters that we are seeing. And also another point that you brought up there, we all know more. We do know more now, I think, inside and out. But you start to even he develops even more in this series, let alone just this episode. So at this point, what I'm trying to say is you think you know more, but you don't quite know more just yet. There's still layers upon layers of more that you haven't
Mhm.
seen or you will see, and
Yeah,
that's what I think keeps it quite feeling quite fresh. Themes that are being explored within this episode itself is definitely legacy, definitely
yeah.
legacy. What are your thoughts on the
Revenge,
themes?
revenge, family. Um, Family's a big one because you have like 3 different
Mm,
families. You've got Maul and his family,
yeah,
is whatever. You have Devon and you have Master Daki, family, and then you have Brander Lawson with his police force and then with his son
mm,
struggling, and I think family is a big one here and how everyone's trying to navigate the world they live in with those families, so I think that's a big one too.
yeah. Family's a huge one, and that ties in next to the next question, how it connects to the wider Star Wars saga. Obviously, this is on the back of Order 66. So we've got Devon and Master Ducky on the run, just trying to stay low, move fast, and survive, essentially. Maul, again, like we've highlighted, he's out for revenge. But also, it brings us down to, like, let's say, Earth or Janix with Lawson, a normal, everyday human being, a detective. And I'd like to say a normal 9 to 5, but I don't think you can get a normal 9 to 5 in Star Wars.
Good
But he's
lord,
got
that
like
guy, I feel like he works 48 hours in the first episode.
yeah, I'm gonna come on to that later on. Yeah, um,
Like,
yeah, he is
it's good.
non-stop, and I think that's what bridges the connection from the viewer to the series as well. We've got that human connection that we can
And
relate to.
it's very different from, I feel like, from things we've seen before. It's these little tidbits like whenever we got, I can never remember, it's Cut, right? Isn't Cut the clone trooper that has a family?
Yeah,
It's just it's Star Wars, but then it's got this human element to it because it's like something that we've seen so many times, and you sit there and you're going to hear protocols, and you're going to hear these things that you've heard in other police things,
yeah, yeah,
and I just think it really kind of grounds it, makes it seem more realistic
yeah,
than like we were rewatching Star Wars, Clone Wars episodes to get ready for Mando and Grogu, and that stuff is so fantastical, it's like insane,
yeah,
right? Because it's just not grounded in reality. But this that him Brander Lawson kind of grounds us in this reality that we have living here, and I think that's pretty awesome.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And again, it's that realistic approach of what a human can actually do. We mentioned the
Yeah.
heist, so you see Maul in action straight off the bat. You see Lawson straight off the Lawson straight off the bat as well. We don't really see too much action from the Jedi duo, do we? See a little
Not
little snippet.
Yeah, nothing. She kind of gets popped for um stealing stuff, and that's all. They're just kind of struggling. It's hard to see them, and I
Yeah,
like that aspect too because um we never get to see Jedi's really in this situation, and we see them struggling. They're homeless. They don't have enough food to eat, and these are some of the most powerful beings in the universe, in the galaxy. And Master Daki's, um, it's like like we gotta depend on the kindness of strangers. We don't
yeah,
change who we are because of our circumstances, and it's something like I had written down here that relationship kind of reminded me of like we show Cinderella Man about the Great Depression here in the in the world really, but how people still wanted to live and do the right thing, even though it was really, really hard. And
yeah,
I thought that was kind of a cool and hard to see our heroes just be whooped,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So
But that again, that brings us nicely into a bit of a deep dive about these characters. So we'll look at the characters a bit more in depth. Obviously, we'll go straight into Maul himself. The main character, if you like, of the series itself. You mentioned, he's back. We know why he's back. He's extremely annoyed with the Shadow Collective. He's back for revenge. He's still got his sort of gang, if you like, around him. Um, but yeah, there's a lot more layers to Maul, isn't there, Jimmy?
yeah, and we can't really get too much into it. Like right off the bat, all we know is he's mad at the Shadow Collective because they abandoned him.
Mm,
When he escapes, it sounds like he shows up and he's trying to get them to help him, and they all see their opportunity to be done with them.
yeah,
And I'm like, you guys know what he's capable of. Like that's the first thing that popped into my head because and I was like, you guys know, because we get two of them there on Janix that deal with him in this episode. And I'm like, you guys are idiots
yeah, yeah,
because you know what Maul's capable of. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you have just helped him and got him back on your side and then move forward with him again?
Yeah, no, 100%. The next one sort of touched on, so we're going to jump straight into that is Devon as well. Obviously, our disillusioned Jedi and Master Daki. Now, bit more of a deep dive. Yeah, it's straight off Order 66. Like Jimmy said, our heroes, that pain is still fresh from Revenge of the Sith. You know, we've seen them get slaughtered across the galaxy, but it is hard
Mhm.
to see them struggling to the extent of like trying to steal food, etc. They're living in the sewers. You know, they're not really a known presence or anything like that. The powers that they've got, it's literally like they've wrote it so they're like rats, living like rats,
Yeah,
scurrying around in the
that's
shadows.
really a
Uh,
good point.
so I think that's the perfect image, if you like, with our character deep dive on the Jedi's. The impression I'm getting from Devon is she's like a young teenager. She is very upset with the galaxy. You can see the effect that this whole Order 66 had on her. However, Master Daki, I think, is the one that's keeping her sane. He's nice, calm, cool, collected. Um, there's a brilliant saying he says. I think I want to say episode 2 or 3. So yeah, we'll come on to that later on. Um, but I
Yeah, you
think
gotta be
he's the
careful.
cool calm. Yeah, he's it's so difficult doing IS. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, Daki is. You can tell he's a wise Jedi, can't you?
Yeah, it's like I'm just based off this first episode, like, I'm like, "Man, I wish we'd have gotten more of him." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I think for me personally, I don't know about you, I got to have this conversation with Mike Chen about survivors of Order 66 and what they really do for Star Wars. But like, if there's masters and apprentices like this out there, it makes sense to me because
Mm,
God, it's hard not to give stuff away. Like, but um, he's just kind of waiting his time. Like he feels like, and then you said it perfectly. She's a teenager. She has an attitude right off the bat. And you see these, we know all the fan theories of who she might turn out to be. And the way they write her in this first episode, she's not necessarily like super respectful to the cops. She's
no.
not respectful to Brand or Lawson at first, and I feel like it's a little un-Jedi like, so I think you're right about her being like a typical teenager who is not happy about her, plot in life right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And that's what stands out with Order 66. And I think why they was, I say, so successful. But a lot of these Jedi's, and I think it's adamant with Devon. Her training probably wasn't finished. She's still classed as an apprentice. You see it in the episode. There's a little bit of anger, and we know where that leads, or a little bit
mhm,
of hate, if you like. We know where that leads. But yeah, it's a good conflicting story to start off with. Episode 1. Next sort of character we want to properly delve into as well is our, I'd like to say, neutral person in the whole thing is Branda Lawson, the detective. We
mhm,
mentioned it, a human with a normal 9 to 5 detective job. You can see he's quite a key influential figure in the Janex police department. Always got a cup of coffee in his hand.
mhm,
Again, quite relatable person.
calf,
He just wants to keep his nose clean, do the best that he can for his family. And I'm sort of going to bring in the son to this, Kylie Lawson. So if you look on the
Riley,
Riley Lawson, that's the one.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it brings him in as well. You can see, it's just another human being on a planet that's struggling, as always, across the galaxy, the Great Depression, trying to bring
single
in
dad working
the bread
hard.
and butter. Yeah, yeah. But again, super relatable character. There's no special powers, no nothing. It's just literally a human being, an educated person making educated decisions here and there with a droid on his side that we'll go into next. But what's your initial thoughts about Branda Lawson?
Yeah, I wanna know what his backstory is, like, immediately because, we know, like, it was said he was a bounty hunter, but he makes a comment in this first episode about laser sword, which I love that,
Yeah,
that's laser sword, and he talks about, "I haven't seen that since the Clone Wars." So who is this dude? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, what is his deal? But yeah, I think, he's that typical cop that's married to the job. We have this show in America called Blue Bloods, and Donnie Wahlberg's always working hard, and he's got his
yeah.
family at home, and it just kind of reminds me of that, but with his amazing voice actor, with Wagner's accent. It just
Mm,
hits hard, and he's trying to do the right thing. He does not want the Empire involved, and we'll find out more about that later.
yeah,
With some things with that, but yeah, like I said, he's the grounding point, I think, in this series because all the
yeah.
craziness of Star Wars and Jedi and Sith. but he brings every time things get out of control, he's able to kind of bring things and bring it brought me back to like this is a human. These are it's kind of like Andor,
Mm, yeah,
where it's like normal people living their job, but they're also not afraid to like, stepping up and being heroes.
yeah,
And I think that's good for Star Wars to see that because we started getting that in Andor, and I think that's kind of what really hit home for people was like, oh yeah, normal people can make a difference. You don't have to be special to make a difference.
yeah.
So, but I love that about him, and he's just a dad trying to do his best in the galaxy. Just a simple man making his way through the universe.
Exactly that. Exactly
So,
that. Along with his son Riley. I
yeah,
sort of touched on the next thing we want to cover. Again, Star Wars have done it again. How they're so successful with droids, I do not know. Two Boots. What a droid. Again, we mentioned about the cup of coffee thing. He's a droid, but he always has a cup of coffee as well. He even says in it, doesn't he? It's just to keep you sane. It's sort of bring normality back. Uh, Getting Richard Ayoade to voice him as well. The voice fits perfectly. Again, it's not a droid with superpowers. It's just a normal droid that
yeah.
wears two pairs of boots, hence the name, two boots, um, with a bit more of a personality. But yeah,
He,
go on, Jimmy.
I don't like him.
Ah,
Yeah, I know, and it's hard for me because I find myself rooting for Spybot more than
I love Spybot.
but Two Boots kind of concerns me because he's all about protocol, yet he's wearing boots that are not they're not
Yeah,
that. In Richard's voice, he's doing his it crowd or whatever it was
yeah,
that
yeah,
British, and that's so funny and everything. But it kind of, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of grating and just kind of took me out of. It's so him. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, all I can see is his nerdy persona in that television show, and that's not really fair, I guess. Like, if you don't I wish I would like to know people who haven't seen or don't know who he is and
yeah,
how they feel about the voice. The voice kinda takes me out of it, and I'm not a massive fan of the droid starting in episode 1. Like, I'm like because I was kinda like, because we didn't really talk, like me, you and I didn't talk while we were watching it, so we wanted to come up with our own opinions. But
yeah,
I almost was like, this droid's kind of pissing me off,
yeah,
you know. But I'll give him time and see what happens. But it's just kind of a contradiction to me. I feel, but it is interesting because he is kind of like the Yang to Brander's Yang as far as
yeah.
balancing him out and following protocols and stuff.
Yeah, he's sort of his partner, if
Yeah.
you like. The next droid, you already mentioned it. I've got to give a special mention to this droid, Spybot. I absolutely love
Yeah.
Spybot. The best description I can give to people that have not seen it yet, that Spybot's like, he reminds me of Transformers film, Dark Side of the Moon, the little spider one with the
Oh
attitude.
yeah. I was
Um,
thinking the black hole. He looks like those robots from the black hole. Do you remember those? I mean,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so from the Disney
Um,
show. David Collins voices him. Shout out to David. We got to meet him. Remember, we got to talk to him standing
Federation, yeah,
beside the stage. And what a nice guy. He just sat there and talked to us like we're just buddies. And it was
yeah,
pretty awesome. So it makes me even a little bit more uh, lean into that a little bit more because David was just so nice and just welcoming. And
mm,
he just was like, yeah, but Spybot is awesome. You have to watch if you watch it, but you didn't have captions on, go back, turn on the
yeah,
captions because that is one snarky droid. He has funny things to say throughout. I do like the I don't get into it too much, but in this episode, like him versus is that in this episode? Two Boots versus Spybot, yeah, so, like, they kinda have a
where
little
they're hacking at each
showdown
other.
with who's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
tech, and I like that aspect. This is the first time where we have 2 droids that are can probably be
Mm.
matching up and trying to outwit each other, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The next character we'll cover is Rook Cast, obviously played by the awesome Vanessa Marshall. Again, just that Mandalorian connection there. Anything? Did you spot anything about her armor?
Other than, like, the mall markings, like a Mandalorian or whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's still
She
rocking the
still has that
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, and she is loyal, and I will talk
Yeah,
about that more in later episodes, but loyal, man. Like, she's the lieutenant you wanna have,
100%.
and I just that's all I can really say it from at this point, but if I'm a guy who's in charge, and I have been, I want someone exactly like her by my side.
Yeah, yeah.
So
She's the
I
only
think
one that seems as well that can question Maul and not
yes,
suffer getting a head
I
sliced off,
have
and I think he understands that.
I think he appreciates that
Yeah,
he respects her and she's earned that respect. And so she's also got the right because she, oh God, I can't say too many things, but she's able to approach him in times I wouldn't think she would be able to later on.
Yeah.
So that's all I want to say. I don't want to go too far into it, but she's an awesome character. I'm super glad Vanessa Marshall's back in Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah, likewise. Any other characters that you want to cover now? Vario, maybe?
Mario, my gosh, what a little. Oh, um, we'll see what happens. Again, we don't want to give it up too much. I have some theories that we'll talk about later, but yeah, he's a funny character. He's good with the. He's kind of like the him and Spybot are kind of like the comic relief on the bad guy side of things.
Yeah, yeah.
I like
He's
the
very
fact he's in
resourceful.
that. Yeah, I don't know. He's an interesting character. He's going to be important. I think he's one of those ones that's more important than you realize.
Yeah,
Um, and he's one of those ones that always just kind of seems like they keep surviving because he ends up taking out Demas,
yeah,
the fat Grand.
yeah,
It's like, is that a Grand? Like he's so fat that his eyes don't stick out,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he's like a mob boss or whatever. But yeah, no, I think Vario is going to be an interesting character. See how that unfolds moving forward.
Yes, yes, 100%. I think that pretty much covers it for characters and doing a bit of a deep dive. So hopefully now the viewers, listeners, etc., you've all got some sort of feeling slash taste of what the characters are like in this episode. We've already touched on a lot of the motivations, the emotions of these characters, some of the choices that they've made. Um, some of the questions we've got as well is how it affects their growth or the conflict. Again, I think we've sort of covered that because we don't want to say too much just yet.
Yeah, it's tough.
Uh,
That's tough. Yeah.
in the first episode. What we can do now, though, we're going to move into like the lore and
Mm,
some of the connections. I'll start with an easy one, being Rook. Again, we've already connected the dots there. You know, from the Clone Wars stuff, she's still wearing the body armor. Again, it links in with the implications of
mhm.
the deeper lore side of life, the canon. Um, I think one of the interesting lore and connections that we want to jump into is definitely the duo, the Jedi, Devon and Daki. Anything stand out for you for that, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's just in this episode we don't get a flashback or anything, and I don't know if we will. I
Mm,
mean, and I want to know how they got there. Like, did it? I mean, the Empire's not there, so I'm assuming that they were on some kind of other mission or whatever. But
yeah.
that struggle, they have such a good relationship, and it just kind of reminds you of like a lot of the relationships that were in the High Republic because we haven't really seen like a normal healthy master and apprentice
No, yeah.
relationship in like the movies with like Anakin and the Kenobi, like that's messed up, and all the ones that we've seen. This is kind of like our first real look at something because I mean, like Kanan, he loses his,
That's a
and
real
then
fair point. To be fair, yeah,
him and Ezra, but Kanan's not a master, and Master, Daki is a Jedi Master who survived, and he's still got his Padawan, and
yeah.
I think that we don't get a lot in this episode, but yeah, I think the struggle is real, um, and his views on things are going to be much different than hers because she doesn't have that life experience. We don't know. Like I looked up on Wikipedia today, and all it has is he's green and he's what's her face's master, and then there's
Yeah.
no age, there's no creature, there's no how long he lives, any of that stuff. So, but he looks cool.
Oh
I
yeah.
hope they give us some Funko Pops or Black Series of him for sure.
Yeah, 100%. We do obviously see some connections as well with the force powers, etc.
Mhm.
He's not one to be trifled with at all. He can hold his own.
Yeah,
Same with Devon, really. But like you said, and it's a very fair point. I think this is the first healthy Jedi relationship that we've seen on screen ever,
yeah,
literally ever. Uh, Obviously, with more, there's loads of links to past movies and shows. You know, he mentions the Shadow Collective stuff, the Mandalorian
mhm,
stuff, the Pike Syndicate's in there. There's loads of references from Maul to really, like I said, get this series up and running. Um, is there any other links or anything like that you want to
I
give a shout out
mentioned
to, Jimmy?
Grander Lawson talking about laser swords in the Clone Wars just to
Yeah.
kind of let us know he was around during that time period, it hasn't been that long. So I think that's kinda cool for, people who love the Clone Wars. It's like,
Hmm.
this really just happens.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that connection as well.
Yeah. No, totally agree. just before we wrap up with episode one, we've still got a few more things to go through. Favorite moments. So we're going to cover some best scenes, cool visuals, fun or emotional highlights. I'll start us off then with best scenes. Now, this one for me, best scene is that ramp when it comes down and the man
Oh,
himself, Maul, appears. That again, as a Maul fan, and
yeah.
Maul's always been my favorite character. I've said it from the off. Seeing Maul back in action, you know, is just incredible. Sam Witwer just amazing job. The animation team with his moves, his style of fighting hasn't really changed too much from the live action stuff, let alone the Clone Wars stuff. And it's just so good when that ramp comes down and that music kicks in, and there's like a hint of Duel of the Fates, but then it stops and it's a whole fresh take, and more just opens up. Um, But yeah, for me, one of the best scenes in that first episode is Maul appearing yet again. Any scenes that stand out for you, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think that the like, that beginning is really cool because that heist is really good, but I'll go to the end of the show and attacking the police barracks.
Mm,
I
yeah,
think that was really cool. You got Spybot doing stuff, and then they put a lot of thought into, like, how would bad guys do this, and the way that, like, Icarus and, oh god, what's the other one's name? The other Zabrak, his brother,
yeah,
but they just do things where, like, they kinda do that, like, we've seen some of those scenes in that horror trailer we got, and, like, they let him see him just enough to get him to follow, and then they end up coming from behind and blasting him, and
yeah,
I thought that was pretty intense, and then, of course, um so I thought that action was really, really good, and, there's some stuff else that happens, but yeah, I think that was kinda like, the action's nonstop, and we get about, like, it seems like for most part in this episode and episode 2, which we can talk about right now, is we get, like, 3 scenes of, like, action, or we get, like,
yeah,
these really big chunks, but so, like, you got lots of good dialogue, and then you got lots of good action, I think, so, I mean, there's something
yeah,
there for everybody because I thought the opening scene was really, really great too, that heist and then how it turns into what it turns into,
yeah,
and how they kinda manipulate those cops, and then Maul comes down those stairs and just opens up on them.
yeah, yeah. 100%. Cool visuals for me. Again, I think we already mentioned it. Is the opening scene with Janix? It reminds me of like an emerald. It's like an emeraldy color sort of thing. That really, it's really, really lovely. Stands out really well. Lots of other. Go on, Jimmy. Anything on that?
Yeah, I love it. I just think the way they shoot this, it's like a television show.
Yeah,
I watch a lot of TV, unfortunately, I probably watch too much television, and, like, these cop shows I watch, it's always like they show, like, the skyline of New York, or they show down these streets, and they're doing this with Janix, and it is beautiful, and
yeah,
it's kinda pulling you into, like, "Well, this is my city, this is" you know what I mean? So I 100% agree, like, the scenes that they show just of, like, these transitional scenes and how they
mm,
do it, and they do it from different ways, even in this episode, I think are really, really good.
yeah. Some more cool visuals for me is again, sort of Jimmy went on with it. There's the hallway scene where the droids first get on scene and they're chasing one of the Zabrak brothers. I think it's
Mhm.
Icarus. They're sort of just behind, and you can just make out the Zabrak at the end of the end of the hallway, and then it's gone. So visual wise, again, keeping that horror theme going because these three Zabraks when they all appear on screen at the same time. Scorn is the other brother, Scorn and
That's
Icarus,
it. Yeah,
and then
good
you have
shout.
more behind him with a lightsaber.
Mhm.
It's one of those things where it goes from bad to worse for them, and you just think, oh, just get out of there. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
um, one of the ones I thought too, Demas versus Vario,
yeah,
like, you got this never shoot a guy in the back, Demas, and he lights him up, and I thought that was pretty cool, like, just the way they shot it, it's weird to me because like, it just doesn't feel like an animated show. Like I know we're watching animation, but it's shot and they changed the camera angles and
mm,
all these different things. And I just think that shot was really good and it really reminded me of like a Godfather movie or Heat or whatever. Like it just had this like it kind of zooms in on this little Vario and he's shooting Big Demas. And I thought
yeah,
that was a really great way, like cinematically, way to like do that scene. And there's just a lot of that throughout
yeah.
this episode and the next.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot. Couple of more highlights, fun or emotional ones. I think fun wise, again, it's just all the fight scenes are incredible. All the action's incredible. Like we mentioned, the ships and all that good stuff. I always say it every single series. I'm a big ship guy. again, all look incredible. The sounds, the music's spot on for the theme as well. It keeps that
Mhm.
intensity up throughout as well. Another like emotional highlight again is seeing the Jedi in the sewers. You know, you do really experience them down in the dumps, and it's pretty bleak. It is pretty bleak for them.
Yeah, and you have, like,
Um,
Docu sitting, in the rain waiting for her to get out of prison and stuff or out of
yeah,
jail. It's pretty intense.
yeah, and
So
again, you know, you see him saying to Devon about when she's getting arrested, don't fight it, just do it. You know,
yeah,
even though we know she could easily get out of that situation, but it's not worth the hassle because again, Darky with his wise knowledge, etc. He knows that if something comes up here, that's going to highlight it to the Empire, and the Empire's going to arrive on Janix.
yeah. Because
So,
there's a bunch like, everyone involved does not want the Empire there. Like,
no,
they don't want the Empire there, Maul doesn't want the Empire there, and Brander doesn't want the Empire there, so
yeah,
there's only one person who really is really keen on it, but we'll get into that probably next episode. I have written down have you ever seen the movie Fifth Element?
yeah,
The cop cars and their uniforms look exactly like the Fifth Element.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's the funniest thing, and I can't wait for certain people to see this. Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, like refuses to watch The Fifth Element because people have been on him on his show. And I'm like, I want to be like, one of the first things I saw when we got this, like, God, I want to tell Mike he's got to watch The Fifth Element because the cop cars and their uniforms with their, I was like, this is paying homage to The Fifth Element for
yeah,
100%. It's so good. I
yeah,
love it. So, I thought that was pretty funny. I
yeah.
liked I mean, I I I would be stunned if it wasn't based off of that, if we don't get some behind the scenes like, "Oh, yeah, we love The Fifth Element, and they
Mm,
already have these what would it be like to be a police in that kinda 'cause, I mean, that's just chaos, man."
yeah, yeah.
So, that was pretty cool.
And then the last thing I think to wrap up this episode is with how it finishes up. Obviously, the jail cell, if you like. Obviously, Maul has some form of vision. He understands that there's more to this second heist, if you like. Uh, and then the scene of Maul's what's the word I'm looking for here? Like shadow looming over
Yeah,
Devon while she's sat in the cell, and then it cuts.
and she
Perfect.
knows who he is too, it's crazy. So, like,
Yes.
I like that aspect. It's not a, "I don't know who you are" kinda thing, but yeah, that's really intense.
Yeah, indeed. And that leads us nicely into the second episode, chapter two, Sinister Schemes. Again, another banger of a episode. I think before we wrap it up, though, how many Zabraks are we going to give chapter one, Jimmy?
Oh my gosh. Thought it was a great start. I
Yeah,
kinda looked at them as these 2 chunks, like, I was kinda watching it, like, episode 1, episode 2 of each week. But yeah, I don't know, 4.5 Zebrax out of 5?
yeah, solid. I'd totally agree with that.
I
I'd
think
say close to
there's
five for
still
me. I thought it was
yeah, still
perfect.
room to improve, but it was really good action, really they did a great job, I thought, of setting the tone, introducing us to all these new characters, and getting us into it without wasting a whole lot of time, so I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, great shout. And then yeah, chapter two, like I said, Sinister Schemes, straight into that then, overall reaction. Again, for me, not too dissimilar to chapter one. It pretty much picks up where it left off in terms of, keeping it intense, actions flowing, lots of character development in the whole episode. The visuals, stunning, music stunning. But yeah, you're left eager to know what is going to happen with Maul and Devon.
Yeah,
So first impressions and feelings for me personally was trepidation, not sort of
yeah.
fear either though, but thinking, what is gonna happen here? Go on, Jimmy.
Yeah, I the same way 'cause, I mean, it opens up immediately, like, it doesn't jump, it's like they've escaped and they're being
Yep.
chased, so, yeah, I think that's a good point, and she's trying to get away, and so, um, yeah, I think trepidation's a really good because you just don't know what's gonna happen, like, I know we have all these fan theories,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to keep this to my emotions when I saw this first episode for the first time and, like, what's gonna happen. And Maul's really good at manipulation.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I
We've
think he
seen him
does
do
a
it
really good
before.
job in this episode of kind of setting the groundwork with her. So, yeah, I would say trepidation and just I don't wanna see a Jedi fall, but he brings up a lot of good points. He kinda reminds me of Chimera a little bit, bringing
Yeah.
up some valid reasons not to do certain things. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I think first impression, like we mentioned there, sort of time with the tone of the episode being trepidation, expectation is also there. Um, and then yeah, what did stand out for you emotionally on this episode, Jimmy?
Oh man. Gosh, I'm sitting here reading everything. Maul's take on he sees his fall and the Jedi's fall as the same thing. Like and that really is kind of baffling to me. You know, he talks to
Mm,
you've been indoctrinated since you were a child. Now you must adapt. He has all these lines that really kind of
makes sense.
he's yeah, he's patient with her. He knows he just can't be like, "Yeah, you're an idiot. Like, do what I do because it's way more
Mm,
fun." Like, he's 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 cracking the egg,
yeah.
I think, in this second episode with her, and, I really like that. I like the way he does it. Is she gonna fall? I don't know. I mean,
Mm,
at this point, she seems like she's gonna resist him, um,
yeah.
and so but I do think she's got a real attitude about her, though. Like, there's a lot of times she's even snarky to him and, and it's not like this patient, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi banter. It's, like, mean and kind of hateful, teenager-ish, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly. So, I feel like given her age, she's in a very tentative spot to fall either way.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
may not be a bad person, but just given her age and where she's at, I think she's kind of on the precipice of going one way or the other.
Yeah, and I think you're quite right there where you said about cracking the egg, and I use the term dangling the carrot. You know, he keeps talking to
Yeah.
her about giving her more power, and I think he's feeding off her anger because you can sense the anger that she has towards the galaxy for turning
Mhm.
against the Jedi because that's all she's known. Like you said, you know, she's been indoctrinated since she was a kid. All she knows is the Jedi Order, and again later on in the series, one of the episodes. Um, it really comes out and you get a better understanding about Devon as well. That'll make more sense in a later episode, which we'll get to obviously. But for me, yeah, emotionally for this episode is Devon's character development in this and the anger she has.
Where where's she at? I wrote here I have these notes written down. Devin has a lots of potential. Force
Yeah,
pushes her way out of things. I know we don't necessarily need to go in order, but Mala slowly, uh, working her, building doubt that the Jedi are still valued. Um, time to adapt and survive. She looks like she has had it with begging and being homeless. So like he's
yeah,
really kind of like I said, like you said, dangling or cracking the egg. I really like that aspect. But we get so much. Um, and then of course he says it's not as simple as good and evil. So he's complicating Star Wars for everybody because it's
yeah,
like they've said in the previews, it's bad guys versus worse guys.
yeah.
And so he's complicating this for Devin, he's complicating it for you and I feel like, 'cause
Hmm.
y
Hmm.
y I'm rooting for him kind of, I'm also like, "God, you're a blank for doing this to this young kid." So I think that's really exciting to see where that's going to lead us as viewers and Star Wars fans, because Kymir did it to us, like, I was like, "Well, Kymir kinda he's got a point," he's
Yeah,
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 manipulative and he's got good biceps. So you're like, I'm like, well, so it's just like
yeah,
kind of the same thing, I think. And I'm here for it. I love that. And I even think that like hardcore, like traditional fans, they can get wrapped up in this because like we've never seen this before.
no,
The only time we've ever seen this is when Maul shows or when the Emperor shows up and whoops Savage and Maul, right? And
yeah,
we'll talk about that later. But we've never seen bad guy on bad guy, really, and so
no.
this is really interesting, and then you throw the Jedi in there and their plight, so yeah, I think it's awesome.
Uh, and yeah, that brings me on to my tone of the episode really because it highlights the fact you've got bad guy. Well, let's say we can't really call it bad guy. Well, let's go with that. Let's go. It sort of goes with bad guy versus good guy, and then we've got the neutral guy chucked in there as well
Yeah,
with Detective
Lawson.
Lawson in there as well. So yeah, you got bad guy, good guy, neutral guy, and it's just a big mess. So yes, right. So next piece that we want to talk about then is, what is this episode really about? It's sort of, the name's on the tin of the episode, Sinister Schemes. It is really about Maul, what he's actually up to. Episode one's gave us that basis of the characters, their development, but this episode has now showed us what his intent actually is.
Yeah, they all have schemes going on because even
Yeah,
Lawson has a scheme because he goes to see I'm assuming she's a gangster, kind of she runs a casino looking thing, so she's not on the up and up, but she's on the up and up with him. She was a bounty hunter.
yeah,
So he's got that going. You've got Maul and the stuff that's going on with Devin. And then I think also Vario, like I said, he's a survivor. What's going on with him? He's scheming as well. I mean, they're all the only person who seems like doesn't have an agenda is Docky in this right now.
yeah.
He's just following
Survive.
Lawson around in this, and then just kind of following them around. So like everyone has these, and I don't think Sinister Scheme it's not just talking about Maul in this episode. Like
No,
everyone
absolutely
kind of
not.
has because I mean Brander's not following protocol
Yeah,
because
he's
he
not a
doesn't.
straight cop, is
Yeah,
he, at
he's
all?
not. He's got a little curve going on in his path, and so you got that. So I think that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, yeah,
But
100%.
Scheme's a great title and great theme. Everyone's kind of scheming, and the 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 board's getting set in this episode.
Yes,
All
the
the
chess.
players getting put on there, and we're learning, and Lawson's learning about the Shadow Collective. It
Yeah.
kind of goes back to what I said with them being really good at the dialogue.
Mm.
You set up what you may not know as a fan.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
no, 100%.
um,
So I think that covers the themes as well. Then, to be fair, of with it being planned schemes, etc. In terms of connecting to the wider Star Wars saga, again, it sort of delves into that bounty hunter and also criminal syndicate
yeah,
background. We get a bit more syndicate action going on, a bit more behind the scenes planning, if you like, of the Shadow Collective.
yeah.
We know that they're no pushovers. Resource wise, they're pretty healthy as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they seem pretty flesh. Well, and I also take all that money from the Pikes to
Yeah,
get Marg Krim's attention. I like that. I think that's a good connecting piece too, is bringing in the Pikes because we
yeah,
know them. So I think that was pretty good as well.
yeah. Again, it bridges that gap. What happened to Maul after the Clone Wars. So Maul
Yeah.
again is just establishing those connections. Again, in terms of themes and ideas, anything else you want to cover on that, Jimmy?
No, I think that's pretty good.
Okay, cool. Uh, Character motivations again with episode one. We know that Lawson. Well, we get the idea that Lawson's on the straight and narrow, but then we start seeing, like you said there, that curveball. He's still doing it for the benefit of himself slash Janix as well. We're not saying he's completely corrupt. Um, it is evidently clear now, though, in this episode, like we've alluded to, nobody wants the Empire there.
And there's a weird thing there too because Lawson's wife is working for the Empire.
Yes, this is the episode we
And
find out where she is and what
yeah,
she's up to. But
we're gonna have to.
it's yeah, it is a bit of a twist in the tale of that, isn't it? I thought at first she'd died and maybe the Empire had killed her, but I think that's a
Mhm.
fantastic twist to have her working
She
in
took
the
the job and
Empire.
went to Coruscant.
Yes,
And
yes,
Lawson is pissed about it.
yeah,
So they're not together, I guess,
yeah,
separated. But he has that picture of his family. He's kind of, I mean, it's just that trope of cop who's lost his wife to the job or they're struggling and they're, the kid, like it's just like one of those very cop show
yeah.
tropes that you get and it's just kind of cool to see it in Star Wars.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it shows his connection with his son in this episode a bit more as well, doesn't it,
Mhm.
Riley?
Yeah.
Again, young, I want to say teenager at sort of like college or whatever, learning. And I think
Yeah.
that's where that fear of the Empire comes from because he doesn't want to lose everything. And I think that's the fear he has, that he will lose his son. Um,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on Riley?
And so far it's fine. I mean, he says he stays. Oh, he calls his mom in that
Mm.
episode, right?
Yeah, no, I think he does. Yeah,
Because I have Brenner's wife works for the Empire. Tension.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, he's fine so far. We don't really know a lot about him or anything, and we'll see
yeah.
how that develops.
But yeah, there's lots of interesting plot twists in this. In terms of key choices in this episode, is there any standout things character wise that you thought, why did they make that choice? Anything that confused you? Because I had one. I think that sort of
Um,
did throw me back a little bit.
I don't see anything in my notes that kind of confused me. I like the introduction of Saul, but we can get to that.
Yeah, no, let's jump into that because that is mine. Go on.
Is that where you're at? So
Yeah.
yeah, so he goes and he's trying to find out about Maul, so he
Mm,
goes to his contact, and they have history.
yeah.
She is spicy for him. We'll just say that she wants to turn off the lights. So
Yeah.
with Miranda Lawson, but um, she gives him a breakdown of the Shadow Collective and talks about how they disappeared after the Clone Wars. She's not attached to Maul, and she thinks every day. And I put she has the hots for Brander.
Yeah.
So, so I think that was an interesting connection. That hopefully that grows.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and that's what I was alluding to with one of the key choices, like you said. At this point, you understand a bit more background about Lawson and the reasons why. But like you said, it's very interesting that it's gone from a bounty hunter to a cop. I guess that's like the done thing. I guess if the bounty hunter stuff has dried up, what's the next best thing for you? Probably is a detective. You're used to tracking people down. I guess.
Yeah, I guess like not all bounty hunters are bad guys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you chasing down legitimate. We always think of bounty hunters as bad because we see Bosk and we see IG-88 and all these guys in the Empire. But
Yeah.
you also have Din, who's going to go. Yeah, I'm assuming that's what he's doing in the beginning of Mando and Grogu movie. But yeah, so it is an interesting though because she's now working, running a casino kind of thing, and it seems a little shady to me.
Yeah. And it says a lot as well. Again, sort of over a point about the growth and conflict. It does say a lot about Lawson. I think this episode does build quite nicely into that character. In terms of lore and connections, anything here that links to any past Star Wars movies or shows, references, etc.
Um, I mean, they kind of Saul's Saul's
Mm,
her breakdown of what happened with Maul kind of gives
yeah,
you the recap of season 7 of
Clone Wars.
of Clone Wars. So that I like that aspect.
Yeah, yeah,
There's not much else. There's some good action and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, as far as they're kind of done in that episode, that's really the only thing I think I have that's like really kind of ties in to other episodes or other
yeah,
shows.
yeah. No, for sure. Any standout favorite moments you got from this? Best scenes?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Master Docky.
Yeah,
He just
I knew that was coming.
times it, jumps over that thing, lands, slams his cane in there, and then throws that car up
Boom.
over him. And then I love that. But then there's that scene where him and Maul are like standing off on one another, and Maul is hesitant. He's like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah.
Because I don't think he was expecting him to be there,
No.
her master to be there or whatever. And you can see this hesitation in Maul, and Docky's like, "Let's go," kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then the typical the bad guy does something bad and the good guy has to stop and fix it and be distracted while the bad guy gets away. And it just shows it's come character building of both characters. Maul's willing to sacrifice uh, sentient beings to get away, and
Yeah.
Docky's not willing to let them die to save Devon. He'll go get her later. So I think that
Yeah.
was pretty good character development. But that scene is so cool. Just
Yeah.
jumps
It's
down there and
with
boom, and
all
then
the force powers being used. Yeah, it's incredible. Where it's holding up the
that's
bridge.
that
Yeah, and you get
standoff between those two is so good.
you feel that tense
Yeah,
atmosphere between them both because I think more sort of goes back to his old roots of Jedi, right? Kill because you see him sort of walk towards, but then, like you said, that hesitancy stops and
yeah.
thinks, actually, no, I haven't got time for this.
Yeah, he sees
Uh,
all those cop cars coming, so he's like, "I gotta get out of here." So he just does what he's got to do, and it's kind of his go-to move, pulling
yeah,
stuff down. So we'll get.
yeah, no, I love that, and it ties in with another scene that I thought was really good, where we have Lawson meet Daki as well, and it's sort of like your Batman. One minute he looks at him, he's there, looks away, looks back at him, he's
Oh
gone.
yeah, he does it to him a bunch, doesn't he? He just kind of
Yeah,
disappears and poof. So I was kind
yeah,
of wondering at one point if if he's a lizard, he's like a chameleon, like can he like? But he has clothes on, so I don't
yeah.
imagine that. But at first I was like, oh, and I was like, maybe he's just like jumping out of the way, or I don't even know.
Yeah, he can move fast for what could only presume to be an old guy because he's got a cane.
Kinda
But
has
again,
that yeah, he kinda has that, Master Terasanube kinda like he's moving slow, but when he needs to really get kick it into high gear, he can.
yeah, it that I was going to go with that route, but more Yoda when you see Yoda in
Yes.
Attack of the Clones. Um, so yeah, at this point, you do get really excited to see Daki in action. Any more cool scenes?
Man, some funny Spybot stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
Spybot's a character
oh,
in
that
this.
scene where they go in on the pikes in the ship, when they pull the pike ship down and Maul goes in
Yes,
there. Holy crap. And
yes,
then they show up from the outside, you hear screams and you hear all this stuff. And he does all kinds of crazy things with his blade and with the force. And again, another super action packed scene to kind of set the tone that you don't want to be on his bad side. And it's still to my to me, we've seen those pikes. We don't know we know who took over Mark
mm,
Krim,
yeah.
and then we saw Vario and Demas. But I'm like, why would you not just get on this guy's good side, man? Like, unless he's just that volatile all the time when he was running the
Yeah,
Shadow Collective.
and this is another trend in Star Wars as well. Is if you're coming across a person with a lightsaber and you're in a corridor, turn around and run.
Run.
People with Sith in corridors doesn't tend to end well.
No, no, it
No.
does not. And they're like, defend the cash or whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do you not understand that?
Yeah. And they'll bend the knee quick enough.
Yeah.
And that sort of ties in with the cool visual stuff and the fun highlight stuff because again, you see Maul go in there on his own and he can just hear it from the outside, and that's when the sort of the horror really kicks in, and we start to get that that real evil touch of Maul. I mean, because he's terrifying to look at. Can you
Yeah.
imagine seeing this guy in real life?
Yeah. No, I'm be good. I don't
So
want. I don't want to run into that guy in an alleyway.
absolutely not, absolutely not. Anything else that stood out for you in this episode, Jimmy?
Just some of the stuff that Maul says to Devin, he's just really kind of playing on her sense of survival. And like, you're not going to survive if you keep doing things this way. You're going to do it like I do it, or otherwise you're going to perish.
Yeah,
There's a lot of. I'll have more quotes later on because I really started getting into some of the stuff they were saying. But
yeah, the quotes are
um,
fantastic.
yeah, so but yeah, I just think this is a great way to um, start this series with these two episodes.
Yeah,
You get tons of action. You get I think it's good for people like us who know what's going on. It's good for
yeah,
people who are just going to tune in for the first time. Like, oh, that guy, he died in Revenge of or in the Phantom Menace. What's he doing back? And it gives you kind of all that background that you need. And
yeah,
so I'm here for it. I think this is going to be a great series. You
yeah,
know, like I said, when we do these reviews, like we have the first 8 episodes, but most of my notes are based on like, how do I feel right after I watch these two episodes? And I'm like, let's go. Like, this is a
yeah.
great start.
Yeah, no, 100%. Hopefully, you guys and girls that listening and viewing have enjoyed this. Let us know your thoughts, comments, views, opinions in the comments box below. Zabrak wise, I'm going to go for 4.5 again for this episode 2, like you said, Jimmy. And again, I'm just going to reiterate what I saw Sam Witwer say basically that you don't actually need to watch any Star Wars to get into more at all. The
Mm,
foundations within these first 2 episodes will set you off and away. Again, if you're a fan of animation, action, this is definitely for you. Horror, detective, crime, it has literally got it all. And that's from a Star Wars point of view, clearly. But like I said, you don't need to watch any Star Wars to get involved with Star Wars, more Shadow Lord. And I think one thing that we haven't mentioned that we definitely should mention is the music
oh
throughout.
yeah,
It makes the atmosphere, it makes the show itself, it plays perfectly into all of the scenes. And yeah, there's enough characters for people to choose one, stick with one, and follow their
yeah.
development, if you like, of the whole series.
I think yeah, and this is what I'm kind of excited about. Like, we watch these independent of people that live in our houses and stuff like that. This will be the first time I want Molly to watch because I think she'll really get into the cop side of it. Like, she's gonna ask me a million questions about like Maul and all those stuff because she's real inquisitive about that stuff. But I think that she'll really be able to get into Brander Lawson
Yeah,
and his thing and his cop thing, and she'll she knows enough about Star Wars, I think, to be really sucked in. So I'm excited about that. And like you said, all those different characters, like there's something about all of them.
Yeah,
Devin's a little snarky. What's going to happen with her? Master Docky is so grounded and everything. I think it's awesome. Spybot's kind of a
Spybot's
butthead.
class,
And Chewbots
unsung
is,
hero.
other than his voice, he's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Awesome. Right, like I mentioned then, let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hopefully you're enjoying this. That's enough from myself and Jimmy. Look out for episode 3 and 4 review, which we're going to do right after this.